Welcome to the Agency for Substance Abuse Prevention podcast. My name is DeMarco Truss. I am a prevention specialist here at the Agency for Substance Abuse Prevention, where we provide resources, raise awareness, and educate the community on the dangers of substance misuse. And today, I have a lovely guest with me, my coworker. I will let him introduce himself, and we're going to move forward and get into the topic.
Hey, how's it going? My name is Christopher Massia. I've been at ASAP for about 3 months now, and I love it here. I'm a prevention specialist here at ASAP.
Thank you, Mr. Massia, for being on the podcast today. Today we're going to talk about being self-aware and what does that look like. And I have my good friend here to kind of help me out with that subject. So we're not going to be long. We're going to get straight to the point. So when it comes to being self-aware, what does self-awareness mean to you?
And everyone has their own definition of self-awareness. For me, the first thing when I think of self-awareness, I think of knowing who you are, knowing your strengths and your weaknesses, knowing what you do well and what you don't do well, and being aware of those situations. No matter if it's in a situation that you're not comfortable with. I know, like for me, sometimes if there's like a lot of people, I get kind of anxious, kind of nervous. Just an example of that. But you have to know that, like knowing what you're good at, and what you're not good at, and what you need to work on as well.
That's good, man. Thank you for that response. For me, being self-aware is, like he said, basically being knowing who you are, knowing what you bring to the table. And not only that, we're going to tie it into prevention and how does it affect people that fall down a life of substance misuse. So I go into a lot of schools and I see a lot of people, and most of the time we call it here peer pressure. And if you don't know who you are, our kids are often falling into a life of substance misuse by one, not being self-aware of what these substances can do to them, and two, like Mr. Massia said, not being aware of who they are. So that's what we do here at ASAP. We try our best to educate, and being self-aware comes with a lot of education, because you know what they say, when you know better, you do better. So that's one thing that we value here at the Agency for Substance Abuse Prevention. So we're gonna move on to the next question. When was a time that you had to become self-aware?
I think the most recent and probably the most prevalent time that I had to be self-aware in my life was when I actually first started college. When I first started college, it's a transition in your life, right? You meet new people, you're away from family for the first time. You feel like, for me anyway, it was like you could do whatever you want, like you were free.
Yeah.
You didn't have parents always over you all the time. So, but also knowing like what DeMarco said, like if you know better, you do better. And I think I had to remind myself that a lot, like I know better than to do. If there was anything going on campus that I wasn't comfortable with, or that I usually wouldn't partake because I know better, I would have to tell myself, all right, Chris, this is not what you're supposed to do. This can be bad. You got to really think about it. That was the first time I was really self-aware. And also, it was to the point in my life in school where I wasn't doing well in school. I wasn't doing what I was supposed to do. And I eventually had to take a year off and drop out. And that's also when I was self-aware. Like, I think like the result of me dropping out of school for about a year also made me very self-aware of what I had to do next time when I went back into school. So.
Okay, amazing story, man. For me, when was the time that I had to become self-aware? For me, it was not just finding out who I was. It was kind of more so of me trying to figure out, why was I in the routines that I was in? Why did I act a certain way? Why did I come off a certain way sometimes? Sometimes I would be angry towards situations, or I would be self-aware about the triggers that I had in my life, and I had to really sit down and focus on the root and why I was hurt, why I was feeling this way. And I think a lot of people fall down a life of substance misuse simply because we don't get to the root of why we feeling the way that we are feeling. And just being self-aware. Also, this month is August, which means it's self-awareness month. That's why we're doing this podcast on self-awareness. But back to the story, we have to really focus on why we're feeling that way. And that's simply looking in the mirror like, hey self, why do you feel this way? And it may not feel good because you have to revisit that pain that life has caused you.
Right. Sometimes you got to dig a little deeper
Yeah.
into the problem, which makes you uncomfortable, which makes people want to avoid the situation.
Right.
And that's why people usually don't want to do it, because they basically are avoiding the situation because of what has happened in their life, because it's too painful or whatever the situation is.
Right. You said a key word, avoidance. A lot of people like to avoid it, and the way they avoid it is suppressing them.
Yeah.
They use, these depressants, these substances, these things that are really making their situation worse than it already is.
Right.
And that's what we are here for, the Agency for Substance Abuse Prevention. We stand on the forefront to prevent those things from happening. A little bit about us: we go into schools, we talk to kids about coping with life with our Watch Our program. Yep. And they found it so profound and really effective because these kids are not taught how to channel their anger. Right. These kids are not taught how to manage how they're feeling. So they turn to substances. So right. That's big. That's something big that we do at the ASAP and that I value. I love the Watch Our program. We go to many different schools throughout the Calhoun County. So anything else about self-awareness that you want to share to the people?
Yeah, I mean, I think everything we said was really the core of what self-awareness is and how it can cause and affect different things. I think we just want to remind the audience, and especially remind the youth and anybody that's going through a transition in their life, knowing, again, who you are, and also if there is a problem, just know the root of what the issue is. And it could be uncomfortable. It could be an uncomfortable thing to think about and to really address, but it could really solve a lot of issues that maybe is going on. So just something to think about.
Okay. That's good and valuable information, Mr. Massieu. Before we leave, can you tell them what do you value about being at ASAP?
Man, I love the family atmosphere. I love how we all work together, and I love the difference that we make within our community. I see, I've only been here 3 months, like I said, but we've been to a lot of different programs and events and boys and girls clubs, and I see the difference that we make in people's lives, and that's just the most fulfilling thing for me. That's why I do what I do.
Gotcha, man. Again, happy Self-Awareness Month. We hope you obtain something very valuable today. Just don't hold it for yourself, pass it along, because that's what we do, man. Each one teach one. So thank you for having us today, and y'all have a blessed Friday. Thank you.